awful. Hello, welcome back to my channel. In case you haven't realised, this is England and it's very, very hot. So I'm not putting makeup on because I went to Paramore on Monday. Yeah, on one of the hottest days. I went to Paramore and sweat. There's no point putting on makeup. I don't feel like putting on makeup. My hair is, I don't know what it's doing. I'm just out of my face because it's hot. But yeah, so finally I'm going around to doing another Orphan Black video. I think that's on it. Yeah, that's that. I'm doing the Orphan Black review for episode 2, which just so happens to be probably one of the more emotional episodes I've ever watched. Again, I watched it 3 times because I have to. 1, because I want to watch it. 2, to write notes for this. And 3, with my family. And the first time I ended up crying and being like hysterical and sort of shaking because I was like, oh my gosh, that did not just happen. 2, I actually couldn't watch that bit. I was like, I am not watching that bit. I've seen it once already. And then the 3rd time with my parents, I ended up crying again. Like, sort of like heavy breathing, crying, and it was awful. Really awful. I've got like, deep feelings about like Orphan Black, and like, you feel like, oh, that's so sad. But this is the first one I've ever actually cried at. And I think the last time I cried over a TV show would have, unless you're talking like the Super Vet, but we don't count that because that's real life and it's about animals. The last time I cried over a character on a TV show would have had to have been Doctor Who and David Tennant when he left, because I started crying halfway through because I was like, oh my god, this is how he's gonna leave. Like, you could just tell where I was going, and I was like, I love the 10th Doctor. Don't hate me. I didn't like the 11th Doctor. I don't like Peter Capaldi. I don't like Doctor Who anymore. It's all just gone a bit downhill. Don't hurt me. That's just my opinion. So I've got the notes. By the way, I went to Paramore. It was amazing. I'm already ready for the next tour. I'm like, come back again. You know, I need you back. You've been gone so many years. It was so good, even despite the heat. It was so good. I bought lots of merchandise, which I spent a lot of money on, but it's so nice. I went with my friend and my mum, of course. And if you've read my blog, because I think it was on the blog thing, I now am an ambassador, I know, for the CBI Society, which is a charity for the eye condition. Well, it's not an eye condition because it's more in my brain, but it's the visual impairment that I have. It goes to my brain. And I'm now writing a blog for them, and I'm doing a blog about the Royal Albert Hall where it was, because they just so happened to have a box there. I know, I was like upgraded. I got to go in the box, which was hilarious because my mum is so scared of heights. And it's like on the 2nd tier. Anybody who's been to the Royal Albert Hall will sort of know what I mean. It's like on the 2nd tier, so it's sort of like there's a box where the stools are, and then there's another box above it, and then there's the next box, and that's where we were, and then it's like no more boxes. So we got there just about 10-15 minutes before Bleach, the support act, went on stage, and we went to our seat, and my mum was like, no, I'm not sitting there. And it was about 2 minutes before Paramore came on stage, and my mum was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. And she did sit down, and she was like stuck that whole time. She did not move. But she found it alright once she sort of relaxed into it, which is good. So, you know. So, Orphan Black, season 5, episode 2, The Clutch of Greed. Like I said, this was a very emotional episode. I'm not too sure how I feel about Ferdinand now. I mean, I didn't like him before, but now I'm like, can we just kill him off like we did Leaky? I feel like Leaky did a lot less innocent, and he got killed off by Donnie. Can Donnie do the same? Like, man can't do a gun. So, like, I mean, like, this is a TV show, it's not real, so, like, we must point that out there. I'm not about to condone that sort of thing in real life. So, starting off, we're in another dream sequence. I don't think Mrs. S is in it this time. And I'm like, I feel like these dream scenes are of some importance. Don't ask me how. Like I said, this is only episode 2. Everything might change by the next episode. So I'm like, well, everything I thought was right is actually wrong. And then we go to Sarah, who wakes up and she's captured by Didnt again, and I'm like, have we been here already? I think we have. And now looking back, like I watched this second time and I was like, I actually can't look at Ferdinand anymore, because I'm just like, no, that scene has taken it out of me. And like, I know where we're headed. And then we have like Sarah watching FaceTiming in her jail cell with Alison, and I'm like, Alison, yay, you're somewhat safe. Somewhat, we'll say somewhat, because like, and then there's Art, he's with Alison, and I'm like, oh, you were meant to be the MVP last week. Now you're like doing everything that Matty, because I think her name is Matty, not Maddie, I may have been saying it wrong, he's like telling him to do. Like, we were rooting for you.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
I told you all the coppers were dodgy. She FaceTimes with Cosima, and we're like, Cosima, great, you're on an island that you can't get off of. And they're not letting you get off the island. Like, you're under lock and key as well. Because again, the island doesn't like locks. Up to see Rachel and Ferdinand, and Rachel's like, you know, you can go home, but there's a but, because there's always a but when you're talking the illusion and stuff. That they will be monitored 24/7, and Kira will have regular visits with Auntie Rachel for testing, like brain testing, genetic testing. And also, could we talk about that spilling the tea scene? I can imagine that was really hard to do, but it was so impressive. I was like, I can imagine how hard that must have been. If you watch any of the scenes, like with like the double clones, like when they sort of show you how they do it, that's hard enough, but then like actually in like interacting, like in the first season where Alison and Sarah meet, where they sort of put their hand out, that must have been hard. Like those scenes, I tip my hat to them. And then Rachel saying, oh, you know, what we find will be proprietary, but Kira, at the end of the day, is yours. And I'm like, haven't we heard this before? I don't buy that. Like, at the first chance they get, I think they will use Kira as their property, because Sarah is their property. We like that. Season 1. As Kira, being part of Sarah, is their property in a weird sense. And we also learn a bit about Rachel, that she's so under P.T. Westmoreland's thumb now, like she's brainwashed by him. It's sort of really weird to see that sort of, not that ruthlessness has gone, but like it's redirected in a weird sense. It's hot. My thoughts might not be making a lot of sense. And then we see Mrs. S and Kira, and I'm like, yay! So good to see you. We last saw you with Ferdinand too. And then we go over to Alison, and we see she's showing her voicemails to Matty and Art, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? They're showing her her voicemails, and it's like, are they dumb enough to think that Donnie would call Alison? I mean, he watched her get kidnapped. I doubt he's going to ring her, because we all think he's the bumbling idiot, but he's not. And can I just say, as well as Ferdinand now, I do hope they bump off Maddie. It gets slip into both. Because I don't like her. I bet the actress is quite good, because like it's good to, you know, that means she's doing something right if you dislike her. But you know, I think she's worse than Duco. We go to Helena, I'm like, yay, Helena, you're alive with no stick in the stomach, yay. And I must admit, Helena and Donnie are a lovely pairing. They're a lovely duo. I love their friendship. So it's one of the ones you wouldn't have thought of, but it works really well. And then they're talking to the doctor, and she's like, we'll get the neonatal list. Neonatal, you know, and neonatal list, it works with babies and pregnant people. And Helena's like, Neo, and it's like, no. And then we go to Cosima on the island, to the village, and you see them with their food, her and Charlotte. She's like, well, let's not take them vitamins. I don't know, it reminds me of something, I watched something, or I read something. It was a story, not real, but like where by them taking something every day or something, they had something in them or something, that like the vitamins are their way of like poisoning them or sort of giving them fountain water. And then Kissy was talking to Charlotte about meeting Aisha. What is with people waiting outside our house? And she wants to meet Aisha, the young girl, the young Afghan girl. Took me a minute to remember that because it's not in my notes. Who we saw last week with Delphine. And then we see Felix again, and I'm like, Felix, you're alive, you're looking great, you know, looking great. You would never have known you were kidnapped by Dr. Frontenac. That was sort of right. And then Mrs. S is sort of like, they're chatting, being like, what are we going to do? They turn the Hoover on just in case like someone's listening. Good idea. And she says, Ferdinand can choke on his own vomit. And I'm like, I will be agreeing with you in under 40 minutes. And I love how it's like an underground takedown. And then Felix is like going to see Mika because he says, we've got in touch with Mika. And it's weird that Kira is excited to go to school because like they've enrolled her in school. And it's like, in a sense, it is probably the most normal thing that she's done in a while. I mean, having a clone as a mother is not normal. And then we go over to Scott and Howard and Felix and Ira, and they're sort of talking about tracking down MK and sort of saying what we're gonna do. And Ira's gonna go back to the island. And the greatest thing was sort of like they were talking to him saying, you know, you're gonna have to betray Rachel. And he's like, Rachel stabbed my Susan. And I'm like, shows where his loyalty's lie. It's his season. And then Hell Wizard. And apparently this was an improvised line, which I love. He sort of takes Ira under his wing and he's like, your mum's gonna be okay. And it's like, that is the creepiest thing ever, because like, who is in love with his mum? It's weird. We all remember that episode with the swimming pool. And then Scott gives Felix Clone Phones 5.0. I love how it's 5.0, like season 5. Does that mean we're going to get like 5.1? Because, you know, new phones every few episodes. And so we go to MK, who is in Felix's loft. And she... Also, can I just say, I love Felix's loft. It's amazing. I wish I had a loft like that. That's so cool. And she's not looking too well. We find out that Elena's babies are all fine. One had like the stick punctured its lung or something, but they healed like Kira, and I think that sets alarm bells off for Helena. And she's like, she's seen how people have hunted Kira, so she's like, I'm not staying here much longer because they'll be after her babies when they find out they're a bit different. That they need to be protected. And then we find out back on the island that Aisha has Wilms tumor, which I believe is one that's originated in the stomach. I think it is one of the ones that starts in the stomach. That message, guys, comes over and is like, what are you doing? And I'm like, you are so nosy. Like, I can't tell if you're a nice guy anymore. And he says, Cosima has to go meet PT. Like, pushy. But we're finally going to meet PT Westmoreland, and I'm so excited. And then we go back to Sarah and Mrs. S, and we find out Mrs. S still has a hit list. And I'm like, yes, put Ferdinand #1 on that hit list, can we? So then we go back to MK, and she's been sick for, well, the end of season 4, we saw her a bit sick, and she's been sick for a while now. I don't know how big the time frame between season 4 ending and season 5 starting is. I don't think it's a big time jump, maybe a couple of days. Although we do find out that when Sarah was in diet, she was asleep for quite a while. I don't know how long that brief period is. so I'm not sure sort of the time frame of it. I don't think it's a big time frame, but I'm not too sure. I couldn't say for sure. MK is sort of saying that she's found out that they've hired 9 recruits to restart human cloning, that Rachel wants to restart human cloning, and I'm like, haven't we not learned? No. And MK wants to help Sarah save Kira, and they come up with this plan of MK has people that can help her, but they will have to go deeply underground and they can never come back, and that they need to, when they go to pick Kira up from school, they've got to go pick Kira up from school instead of Rachel, who's going to take her for her first testing, and then sneak her out and meet them, and they will drive away and sort of never be seen again. And then we go back to the island, and Mud is taking Cosima to see P.T. Westmoreland, and Cosima asks Mud, are you part of this? Like, how are you related? Because she says she lives there. I don't know whether Mud is like a relation of P.T. Westmoreland, because that could be possible. And then we finally get to meet P.T. Westmoreland, and I when this came out, who was cast as him, I can't remember his name, but I was really glad they didn't, because you know sometimes in TV shows they have people who have lived forever and they cast like really young people to sort of be like, he's lived forever, he never ages. I think it's really cool that they've cast, I'm not going to say old because I don't know how old he is, but like a sort of more mature actor, because I think it sort of shows more that P.T. Westmoreland as a character has worked his whole life for this, in a sense that he's spent years, because that's technically what has happened. He has spent years working on this, so it's not been a quick thing. It's been around for a while apparently, but not been a quick thing. I think it sort of gives an edge to the character, like he's seen a lot of things as well, if that makes sense. And I can't remember what I was reading. I think it was an interview with John Fawcett, I think, or Graham Manson, the creators of Orphan Black, who was saying about the guy behind the curtain, P.T. Westmoreland, saying that it's sort of, he represents kind of patriarchal, sort of, that there's always a man in charge. I can't remember, I'm gonna try and find where they were talking about it, but like, it's the overall arc saying that these big men are in charge of these women and controlling their bodies and stuff. I can't remember how it was phrased, but it was really cool and interesting, and it sort of explains the scene with Ferdinand, because I'm not going to go into it till we get to that bit, but it sort of explains that bit as well, and why it happened that way in a sense. I've got lots of feelings on that scene. I will try and find that and link it below. And then my notes have gone up. And then they're talking, her and PT are talking about her treatment. I'm not going to describe what actually they said because I cannot remember. It was something about transgressive. Yeah, I thought I'd just write down the treatment appears effective, so it's working. And then he's sort of like, ching ching with the wine, and I'm like, don't drink the wine because I don't know whether that's a good idea. You see those shows where they're like drinking the wine and then they're poisoned, and I understand that they follow the science thing, but like I feel like that needs to be explored even more, because they keep saying they follow the science, but we don't know what the science is yet. Like we don't know what the science necessarily of revival is yet. I mean, we do know they do cloning, calorific thing, can't remember what the word was, stem cells, but the science behind that, and sort of, because I don't just think it's that either. I mean, the science behind why P.T. Westmoreland is alive still, and this found him. And then we go back to Rachel, who is doing yoga-ish with Ferdinand, and it seems like Ferdinand is losing Rachel in that sense. She's not sort of the Rachel that was season 4 Rachel, who, as Ferdinand put it, was the dirty clown. And I think he's losing grip on Rachel, and I don't think he likes that. I think Ferdinand has a lot of pent up rage for Rachel that he will never expressed to her, if that makes sense. And I think that's why it makes that scene, it'll all make sense, that scene even more aggressive and sort of hard-hitting. And it's almost like Rachel doesn't need him the way she once did. And then we go back to Helena, and she sort of knows that they're trying to investigate her babies and stuff, and sort of maybe they're not gonna do it for the right reasons. And so she's sort of saying to Donnie, you know, she's getting out of there. She needs to leave because her babies are not safe. They want to take them out and sort of explore them. And I love the fact that she says to Donnie, the only person who can know where I am is Sarah. And I just hope Donnie does keep that secret. But I think, I'd like to think, in a strange way, I do feel like Helena may go back to the Fish People's Ranch. Yeah. I don't know why, but that was the first place I sort of thought of. Either that or Thomas's boat, where he kept Helena. I don't know why, them two places sprung into my mind. I don't know why. And then we see Donnie get taken away by sort of the hospital security because they want to know about the accident, how she got a stick in the babies. And then we go back to Sarah and Mrs. S, and they're getting ready to go to school to kidnap Kira. And they're going to kidnap Kira right from under Rachel, who is at the school as well, with quite a few bodyguards, and Ferdinand, who then walks around to the other side of the school because he's a bit miffed with Rachel, to get Kira. And then we go to Kira, who's sort of waiting, like doing schoolwork and stuff, and we see her doing really well at math. I'm kind of jealous of. And I'm telling you, not only is she gifted physically, mentally, do you know, I think she's gifted all around. And then we see Rachel come to the class door to pick up Kira, and I'm telling you, that's not Rachel, that is Sarah. And then they start coming down the hallway, and then one of Rachel's henchmen sees them, starts running, and then Sarah's like to one of the classroom assistants, that guy's after me. And then right as you think he's gonna get them, they do a sort of switcheroo, and it ends up with Mrs. S with Kira, which Mrs. S was looking really cool, can I just say. And they go out the side door where Felix is, and they get in, and then we see Sarah go to the car being watched by Ferdinand, and this is where it all starts to go wrong. And she sort of says, because they're talking about MK saying, because the plan was for MK to go to Scott and Hell Wizard and be safe there. She didn't go, so Sarah's like, I'll go get her, you know, I've got enough time. And Ferdinand follows her. Yeah, Ferdinand follows her, and it all goes wrong. And then we go back to Helena, who the doctor comes in and is like, I want to take this injection from you. And Helena's like, that DNA of the babies, but also like for infection reasons. And the stupid thing this doctor does is, there's a bedside table there. She puts the big needle, which is a bigger needle than I use for my growth hormone. She puts the needle right next to Helena, turns her back, and then the music starts playing, and we know Helena's about to go all out. She pushes the doctor down with her head sort of that way, and then jabs the needle right like through there and like there. I was like, oh, Helena, oh. And then she runs out, and then her backside is billowing through the dressing gown, because that is like what happens at hospital. They are not well fitting. You have to literally, they are not well fitted. Like, they are not the most flattering. If you're not careful, you will flash your whole body in one of those surgical gowns. But can I just ask, can Helena drive? Because she takes the doctor's car keys, and I'm like, can she drive? I'm not entirely sure. And then the alarm goes, and like emergency, emergency, and Donnie comes to look, and then he slyly walks out while nobody's looking, and I'm like, yes, Donnie. And then we go back to Sarah, and we find out she was followed. MK tells us she was followed. She hides, and then she makes it into her Felix's loft. She talks to MK, and MK is just like, I don't want to keep running. She's ran her whole life since Helsinki. I think she's just tired, and yeah, I think she's just tired, and sort of, it's almost like never ending. Do you know what I mean? She's hid for so many years, and MK says, you know, because Ferdinand is coming after her, being like, Sarah, Sarah, and MK's like, get changed. You go out the side door. Everywhere seems to have a side door. To my car, gives her the car keys, and like, you know, that she knows about P.T. Westmoreland, that she's saying about the data, that there's not enough data. She doesn't know about him. She spent years researching him, and there's nothing on him. And Sarah's just like, I want to save my daughter. And MK says, this is bigger than Sarah and Kira. And the most heartbreaking thing is when Sarah's about to go out the door, she says to Sarah, thank you for trying, Sarah. I wish it could have been different for us. And I'm like, that hurt my heart. That hurt my heart. Really, it did. Because it's almost like she knows she's not gonna make it. And I think, because I was reading about why they chose this ending and stuff, and I knew back at season 4 that they had, at the end, I read something that said they had planned to kill MK off at the end of season 4, but it would have probably been the same sort of ending, but that sort of didn't fit, whereas now it sort of fitted in better. And then we see Ferdinand coming in, and he sort of, MK's facing away from him, she's got a knife, and he's sort of like, you know, thinks it's Sarah still, and then he tumbles her to the ground after she's tried to stab him, and sees it's MK, and he's sort of saying, you know, he gets to do 2 revenge fantasies and can finish Helsinki, which is kind of, I was like, oh, that's really sad. And he seems to keep calling her Rachel, and that's what I mean by he has this pent up rage for Rachel that I think he won't at this point get to exhibit in her. And so he sort of, although he's mad at MK and Sarah, he takes his rage out for everyone on her, which I think is a bit like... And then we go to Sarah, who's arrived at the meeting point with Kira, and Kira says she can't feel MK anymore. And then we go back to MK, and she's sort of saying, you can't hurt me, you can't hurt me. And then he proceeds to had me crying. I was like, when I first watched it, I was so stunned that like this was happening, that I was like, and I can see why people are like, that shouldn't, that's too far. And it's not, I don't think that. I think I can see why it happened, and I can see the points in it. Like, I can see this is an exhibit for Ferdinand losing it. And if we go back to the start of the episode where Sarah's like, I thought you didn't believe in the illusion, and he was saying why he bashed in his henchman's head, saying that was personal, and then he says, this is so much more. So in a sense, I think this is, I don't think he wants to be part of the illusion. I think he is doing it all for Rachel because he loves Rachel, and I think her having turned him away has spun him into a cycle of, he can't hurt Rachel, he can hurt MK. And because MK and Rachel share the same face, the same body, he will. So in a sense, it's almost, he might as well have pictured Rachel's face on her. I don't think it helped that she was dressed like Rachel. And I sort of think, so I can see why in that sense, and I don't think they would have ever killed MK off with her illness. I think we've had a lot of clones already die from the illness, so it needed to be big, and sort of killing Crystal off would be too obvious. But so I sort of got it. I sort of got why people were like, that's too violent, that shouldn't have happened. I think it didn't help that she'd also lost Beth and was quite close with Beth. I think it's that sort of maybe might not have helped because like you've already killed Beth off, but then she was like the trigger of the story. Do you know what I mean? I sort of think I can see why it happened, and I can see MK dying pushing the story forward, and sort of because after that we see Rachel is so mad that he's gone and disrespected her, and then Ferdinand comes in and he's like, I'd like to think that Sarah coming to heed is some part of me, and I'm like, I don't think I can look at you ever the same anymore. She's sort of like, you humiliated me, and then she gets that Mr. Frontenac and says, please take Mr. Chevier out, escort him out. And I think that's, I don't know whether Rachel wants to kill the clones anymore. I don't know whether she still has that same view. I think she wants to restart human cloning, but I don't know whether I don't know where her stance is on the clones anymore, whether she wants to help them but sort of be above them and in charge of them maybe, but like not necessarily hurt them. So, and I don't know whether her tossing Ferdinand out we might see him come back. Part of me thinks, because I don't know whether they're going to kill Rachel, but I can see how they would, or I can sort of see them killing Ferdinand off, and I can sort of see it maybe being a battle between him and Rachel, because it's a bit like when they killed Duco off. Although Art had good motive, I think it was ultimately Mrs. F who had, like, he killed her mother. So I think if someone was to kill Ferdinand off, it would be Sarah or Rachel, and I can see why Ferdinand would kill Rachel as well, because he has a lot of pent-up rage for her. And so we see Rachel, Kira say when she says to Sarah, MK is dead. She feels her. She doesn't feel her anymore, and says MK is dead. And Sarah tries and gets her into the van. She's like, no, she's not dead. And Kira says no, and she runs over to Mrs. S and is like, no, I want to go with Rachel. I don't want to be with you. And it's sort of like a blow to Sarah, in a sense, because her worst enemy, in a sense, the person she's been, it's almost like a 360. I read this somewhere that Sarah spent, the first season we saw Sarah, she wasn't a very good mother. She spent all the time away from Kira, and sort of she wanted to be her own person, and then after finding out about the clones and Beth and everything, she tried her best to be the best mother she can, and she's trying her best now to sort of keep her out of Rachel's clutches, because she doesn't know what Rachel wants. She doesn't know what the end goal is. So to hear her after she's done all this, and in a sense, not that Sarah killed MK, but like, she was the last person to see MK alive, and MK almost sacrificed herself for Sarah to save her daughter, because Sarah was the one that went up to the flat, led Ferdinand to MK, and was like, you know, come with me, and MK's like, no. So in a sense, I'm not saying it's Sarah's fault, but like, you could see how Sarah would think it's partly her fault, and I can see why people find Kira annoying at that, because it's sort of hard, because Kira wants to know who she is. She wants to know why she's like this, what this is, all it is. But at the same time, you sort of think, you can see why people would think so many people sacrificed, like MK sacrificed herself in a sense, for the remaining clones to be free, to not live like this. Like Beth, she ultimately jumped in front of that train because she knew what she knew was too dangerous. Not saying whether that was right or wrong, but she knew that by her knowing it would put everyone else in danger. But also on the flip side, so many people have sacrificed themselves. So many of the clones have died from the illness, not knowing what it was. So and then we see Rachel come and get Kira for her first session. She's like, I know it's been a sad day, and I'm like, no kidding. But the greatest thing was Ira's inside, and he's like talking to Felix, saying, you're gonna go to the island, and they're all like, good luck, Ira. And before Kira comes out, he comes out, and he just sort of looks at Rachel, and then he planks her, and I think it's the greatest thing. I'm just like, yes, Ira, either the man or the woman, as the case is. And then we have the end scene where Mrs. S is, you know, having a nice drink, you know, after a long, sad, stressful day. And then someone knocks at the back door and she gets the gun, which I'm glad to see that she still has some weapons, you know, because protection. And she goes to the door and she's like, oh my gosh. And who is it at the door? Delphine. Like, I thought you were meant to be in Sardinia. And she's sort of saying, are you alone? We don't have much time. Sarah can't know that we're communicating. And it's a bit like, what are they talking about? Are they trying to make their own sort of plan to save everyone? I don't know. It's sort of, I don't know what's going on with them. And I read somewhere, I read a lot of things somewhere, that Delphine wants the best for Cosima and Mrs. S wants the best for Sarah, and they both know that, you know, sometimes Cosima and Sarah don't know what's best for them. So it's almost like a grand hatch plan to sort of help them if they can't help themselves. I don't know what them combining together would mean, or whether it's she has information that she can't tell anyone. I don't know. But yeah, that was the review. I'm surprised I didn't start crying. I shed enough tears for this episode. But I sort of think, if that was how I reacted to MK dying, can you imagine? No, this is what my mum said after we'd watched the episode. She was like, can you imagine if, like, Cosima died or something? And I was like, we don't go there, because I was telling my mum, because my mum was actually at my nan's then, and I told her, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so heartbroken over this episode. And I think she thought, like, Cosima had died, because I tell her a lot about Cosima, and, like, she's like, oh, I wish I could be, partly because I wanted to cosplay as her, but, you know, and I think my mum's secretly a fan of Cosima. No, it's not worth thinking about. Not until maybe it happens, touch wood it doesn't. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Also, I have a blog post about Paramore. Yeah, I just need to tell someone how much I love them. Also, I will put a link to my CVI blog about the Out Royale Albert Hall box, because it's worth knowing about. I hope you enjoyed this. Speak to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.